a call at 617-459-0041. Again, that number is 617-459-0041. Or you can email me at TAYLAANDRE@thumbprintrealty.com.
Things may seem a little bit different now, but your health remains a priority. With the Massachusetts Health Connector, you can stay happy and healthy. Whether you're employed or have recently lost your job, you have options to stay insured. Visit mahealthconnector.org to compare health insurance plans and choose the one that's right for you and your family. Open enrollment ends on January 23rd. Visit mahealthconnector.org or call 1-877-MA-ENROLL. That's 1-877-MA-ENROLL.
You are enjoying the miracle of radio.
New England's #1 urban Caribbean music. Radio. Spark FM.
Good rising, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. I am Tayla Andre. Waking up with Tayla Andre has absolutely nothing to do with the time of day we link up at about waking up your third eye with unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness. So today the mayor was supposed to come on air, but apparently he has canceled all media. I just wanted to be clear that I reached out and was like, but hold on. They were like, Taylor, it's all media. It's not just black media. It's all media. All press has been canceled. And so with that being said, we still going to talk about who should be the mayor of Boston and what do you want for the mayor of Boston? How do you feel the mayor of Boston should conduct him or herself? What are the things that you would like to see as far as the mayor of Boston doing for the city of Boston? And so all of your questions, you know what? Let's actually edit this because the mayor is not here. Who should be the next mayor of Boston? And what are the characteristics in which that you believe the next mayor of Boston should have? Peace. Un más. Peace. Save changes. Okay. What do you wish of the next mayor of Boston? So then don't update it then if you can't. All right, I'm over it. What do I wish for the next mayor of Boston? I recently learned that I had an op-ed or was quoted in the Boston Globe. And being quoted in the Boston Globe, it was like a 20-minute conversation with Bianca. And Bianca decided to use literally 3 seconds of the entire conversation that had nothing to do with nothing, but at the same time had a lot to do. So I personally, as a parent, have a problem with there being a fully appointed school board. And I think that it should be a hybrid model. From what I understand from conversations with parents and leadership, that the hybrid model is the best model for us. So the mayor would be appointing a couple of people, but at the same time, we would be electing some individuals. And I also believe that students should be a part of the conversation because as much as I feel about education, I'm 37 years old and I'm so far removed from education that did you do your homework is the furthest, or sitting down with a parent-teacher conference is the closest I come to being in a building to actually engaging with teachers and the systems in place for education. And so I think if anything, the elected school board or the appointed school board should be 50% students, which is a whole conversation for another day because my children were talking to me about their Spanish teacher. And Edward Brook Charter School has not had a Spanish teacher longer than one school year. There has never been a Spanish teacher that actually stayed at Edward Brook Charter School Mattapan. And so it's like y'all clearly are not doing the right thing, and you're not picking these teachers appropriately. Let the students choose what's best for the students. First and second, I spoke to Bianca and I told her, as far as the mayor of Boston, I want to see, because the question was, what do you want to see for the next mayor of Boston in the form of education? What do you want to see as far as education? And I need a mayor who is going to be 100% proactive and say, listen, we have been doing education the same way for the last umpteen years, and it is not working. We are ushering in a new era of life, we're about to have cryptocurrency. Dollars are not about to exist. Do you know how many people don't even have money in their wallet no more, but cards? Why are we not being futurist and proactive when it comes to education with our children and teaching them in the way in which they learn and understanding that people have different learning styles and different learning abilities and tailoring their, like when you go to college and you get a schedule and your schedule is based on you. Why are we not doing that for high school students? So that for me, what do I want to see out of Mayor of Boston? Somebody who's going to understand that even though it's 2021, it's George Jetson. We could be on a completely different plane as far as where we are, who we are, as far as partnerships are concerned. I want to see somebody who's willing to have conversations and go to China, go to Dubai, go to India, and go take a look at some of the things that are happening overseas and bring that back home. Hi. Oh, for the who made you come in? Oh, okay. You're good? You need anything? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Michelle? Who Michelle? Danielle? Oh, she gave you code. Okay. My bad. So we about to get some phones. So you can go ahead and call in and do all the itching and complaining with me. And so I digressed. And I have a short-term memory. I'm trying to remember what I was saying. Education, futurist, bringing understanding that we as a city have to, that's what I was going to say, go overseas and bring back some of the ideas that other countries that are implementing. We do not have to wait for the United States to say, we give you permission to do XYZ. We have to think for the future. We have to be proactive. We cannot think for 2021. We have to think for 2045. We have to prepare our students to be ready for the world that they're about to be entered into. We have to start teaching our children what it means to be able to balance stocks. The kind of conversations that we have on air are the type of conversations that need to be had in schools. We need to restructure curriculum and stop begging for permission and get shit done and say, oops, I'm sorry, I didn't know I could do it. I thought I could do whatever I wanted to do. I think we absolutely have to stop thinking inside of this little box because other countries are not. And even though we quote unquote are the superpower of the world, when you look at our technology, when you look at our infrastructure, when you look at even something as simple as the fact that Spain, many African countries, many European countries, and Asiatic countries, between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. is called break. They have a whole break. The fact that they have a 4-day work week, thinking outside of the box, the fact that paternity leave just was a real thing in 2018, that men could actually stay home with the baby. The fact that in every other developed country, they pay you from work pays you to stay home and take care of your kids. And they have more of a family structure. When you look at their statistics, they have less broken homes. They have less divorce. We be doing stop cussing. We do things so backwards that we don't understand the ramifications of how we act today and what the results are for the long, breathe. What we do today dictates what happens tomorrow, right? And we know that as far as planning is concerned, as far as business is concerned, and these are the values that we hold true as Americans, right? But these aren't the things that we're actually doing. And so I am going to step off my soapbox because it really does frustrate me. Good rising. How are you? Hello. One of the 5%ers told me to stop saying hello because hell is low. So peace, my queen. They are hesitant. Let me bust this open real quick. They are hesitant to change education system because it will change their mission to keep our children of different cultures down. They don't want them to know how to win the game they've been playing. I totally agree with that. And not just that, but what about... I'm thinking about Dr. Umar Johnson because of his school that was supposed to open up 20 years ago, but they're still trying to raise $1 million. So I'm thinking about what Miss Barbara said when we interviewed with her on Monday, and she talked about the Jewish community. And the Jewish community, the kids go to school. Actually, what I learned is Jewish community have like accredited schools, and you go and learn out of the not the Quran, the Torah. You learn out of the Torah. So I had a conversation with an Orthodox Jew who was telling me, I never went to what you consider formal school. I went to, whatever the Jewish version of school is. And I was just like, well, did you learn math? He was like, the way we learn math is different from like sit down and write down these numbers. It's like this cubic square and that cubic square and this acre of land, and you have an acre and your neighbor has an acre, but your neighbor wants to take that acre, a half an acre from you and split it with 4 of his family members. How many square foot does each family member get? And that's how they break down math. Or let's say like they do a lot of morals and value-based education. When they of course they have history and they have science, but the science is like what did he explain? Like if a goat has, it is weird. Like it's really biblical. A lot of the education is biblical, but put into terms today so that the young people can understand. And so that makes me like, I really want to have another conversation with an Orthodox Jew about just life in general and education specifically, because the conversations are dope, especially when you like unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness. You have no idea how other people live their lives, how other people learn, how like other cultures are doing so many things better than we are. Why can't we say, okay, you're doing this a little better, you're doing that a little better? Like that's what we do to recipes, right? There's the way your grandma makes apple pie and the way my grandma makes apple pie are 2 different apple pies, but they're both bomb, right? But your grandma put a little I think everybody uses vanilla, but your grandmother uses actual vanilla. Let me try that and see how it works. Oh, okay. So my grandmother's version of apple pie with your little sprinkle of this makes it taste even better. Like, why can't we implement other strategies into what we already have that has not been working? It hasn't been working. And we're like, no, let's do it again. Let's do it again. It didn't work. Let's do it again. It'll work this time. Okay, so try number 409. Okay. Formula 409. We're going to keep trying the same damn thing. No, from the formula 409, there was 408 different formulas that he tried before he got to 409. And for those who didn't know, 409 is a cleaning spray, and it's called formula 409 because there was 408 different formulas that he tried that didn't yield the same results for a cleaning product. And so number 409 is the winner. For the last 400 years, we've been doing the same ish over and over again. It ain't working. When we going to change our strategy? In order to get something different, you got to do something different. And we keep doing the same nonsense. But I'm not going to beat a dead horse because y'all understand what I'm saying. Exactly. And that is preparing them for generational wealth, as we should. As we should. And it shouldn't even be a compromise. We should not have to compromise. And for these things, that's the path that I was leading to. And so for the Orthodox Jews to be able to create their own accredited system, like I don't care what anybody else is doing. I don't care about, like that conspiracy theorist of all that is great. It's probably true. Very factual. What I'm saying is if they can do it, so can we. So why can't we have an accredited school that our children can go to? And if you are an accredited school and you do the whole merge charter school situation with the city, you can get those city funds for those city dollars and teach these Black kids what they're supposed to learn, what's going to create that generational wealth, and what's going to help them help others. Because when you know a little bit, you teach a little bit with your peers, right? I digress. Let's get into some of these news. I do want the question, go ahead and put in your comments. What do you want to see out of the next mayor? What do you want to see as far as characteristics? And so, okay, going back, the Boston Globe, I was quoted saying, as a parent, I want the next mayor to be a parent. Like, I want you to have sat down at a parent-teacher conference. I want your child to have been a bully at one time, for your child to be bullied one time, for you to understand with the free lunch program, for you to have to go through the curriculum of education. Our last mayor did not have children. And when you have a bunch of old white men who weren't even really involved in the family structure, and I say that with facts, like factually, statistically, it is said that Black men are to have like more closer relationship with their children, to sit down and do homework, to be the one to change diapers, to ones to be like hands-on involved, where statistically it's said that more Caucasian family, it's the woman doing everything. Because you want to know what? When you go back to the beginning, it was always a unit. It was always us doing it. It was never like, it is not in our culture for the man to work and for the woman. So Anari and Nasaria and I have like really dope conversations, right? Because I raised me into two other people that have their own minds. And so we were talking about, if you could go back into history, what is one thing that you would change? And so I'm going to leave what happened in my house because our conversations are ours, right? But one of the things that Anari said that is so profound to me, it makes me extremely proud, not only to be his mother, but for one day for him to be somebody's husband and daddy. He said, you know, I don't understand why our society reveres women at lower levels. Like, it's only housework. It's only like this. And then Asaria jumped in and she was like, you're absolutely right. Because if you go back in history, women were the ones that were regarded as the leaders. It was women who were respected. It was women who were at the head of the household. Because if these things weren't, it wasn't a woman who was a housewife. It was a woman who maintained life. And if these things aren't done, I don't know how I'm gonna manage without this woman, because she is this all like this all-encompassing being that's able to do all of these things. And she was everything. And in our culture, prior to being, you know, brought over to America, and in the culture of our culture being here, because there were Black people who were here regarded as Native Americans. But if you look at the photographs, they were darker than me, but they were Native Americans. You feel me? These $5 Indians that are super light-skinned like a Tayla Andre is not the real deal Native Americans. If you don't know your history, please do go back and look over the Gullah people who look like straight Africans before anybody was, even before Christopher Columbus brought his ass over here, before Americo brought his ass over here. There were people who were as dark as the Nairobians, like super chocolate people. Went down a rabbit hole, forgot where we went, forgot where I was. Like, I'm on. I was okay. Well, we're back up now. How long do you think we'll be down for? I'm on until 1 p.m. We'll make it work. How about that? All right. Okay. My bad. My apologies. Okay. So we fell down the rabbit hole. We're back at the surface of life, and we're going to leave what's in the rabbit hole in the rabbit hole. And we'll get it at a later date. Unless you remember, y'all can refresh my memory. So as far as news is concerned, and we are working with our friend who is trying to get us some phone lines. And so at some point in time, we're going to be off air. And so let's get through some of these news articles, and so we can take a break so he can do what he needs to do. So a banker, 53 years old, who shot himself in the chest after he was arrested at the Capitol riot, was a dedicated family man who loved his daughters, said a family friend. So Christopher Stanton, Georgia, is 53 years old, and he was found dead in his Georgia home. His wife called 911 on Saturday, telling authorities that there was blood everywhere. Georgia's body was found in the basement. The cause of death was suicide. Officers also removed 2 semi-automatic SKS rifles from his home. He worked as a regional portfolio manager at BBT Bank. Online records show he was a man who loved his family and daughters dearly. He had been charged with attempting to enter certain property, that is the United States Capitol grounds, against the will of the police. He was out of violation of a 6 p.m. curfew and arrested after refusing to leave. Unlawful entry is a misdemeanor charge that carries a maximum penalty of up to 180 days of jail and $1,000 in fines. So I want to first recognize that there are many people who have committed suicide. I have some in my family, and it is not something easy to deal with because you have so many questions, because you never know the mind of a person and you never understand what it is that they were actually going through internally and mentally in order for you to be able to cope with, as humans, we look at death so we look at it as being something as an end-all be-all, not understanding that death is all around us at all times. And I fully support at any time all of my ancestors, all of my spirits, and all of my spirit guides, and all of the Orishas, all of them. All of the, like, death is around me, and I acknowledge them, and usually I speak to them on a regular basis. But we look at death as like, oh my God, they're gone. But specifically when my auntie died, it was like, yo, she was a warrior. She was a beast. And the way that she was willing to fight for me in her flesh, she no longer has the limitations of her flesh. So she about to be a beast on the spirit side. All my doors finna open up because my auntie didn't play no games and she didn't play about her boo. So shout out to my T. She probably standing right behind me as we speak. But, as far as death is concerned, I do understand like how difficult it is. But first and foremost, I just want to like talk some ish a little bit. You killed yourself over $1,000 and 180 days in jail, possibly you losing your job. But that's the consequence of your action. You decided to go and be a white supremacist. You decided that you were going to go ahead and take the land, coup d'etat, like. You were in history, right? You learned something. If I learned nothing in history, it was about coup d'etats. You could take over the damn government. I said, oh, eminent domain of the Capitol property. Okay, I feel you. But for you to kill yourself, and then what's crazy is if he was in banking already, then he should be well aware that your life insurance policy don't pay out when you commit suicide. So if you really was a family man and you loved your daughters, you just screwed them for life because they can no longer receive that life insurance that's going to pay for the house, the life insurance that's going to pay for you to for college, for marriage, whatever the hell your life insurance was set up for, they can no longer get it. Can you imagine, again, I understand, I don't know the man of a mind when he decided to take his life, but how selfish were you to do these things simply because you got caught up for what you did? Didn't nobody force you to go nowhere? I digress. So Forbes magazine is slammed for the cancel culture, an op-ed warning companies not to hire any ex-Trump administration members. The op-ed was written by Forbes magazine editor Randall Lane on January 7th. It was published in the wake of last week's violent Capitol riot last week's violent Capitol riots, Independent Women's Forum analyst Kelsey Bolar slammed the piece on Tuesday. Bolar called it just the latest example of cancel culture, warning of a purge. Don't you think it's time, though? Have we not hit the time? Like, what about everybody that was blackballed for telling the truth? What about the woman in Florida who went to jail for telling the truth about the numbers? Ain't nobody worried about her. It is a cancel culture. You went along with this effery. You do not stand for the ideals that America and the values that America truly stands for. So yes. You had a choice. You could have left. You were like, yo, this doesn't align with my soul. This is a great job. I'm glad to have it. But you chose a job over your integrity. And all of the times that you knew that he did something wrong, how many people left the White House? You decided to stay. You co-signed all his effery. And because you co-signed, people put you on pause. It's not cancel culture. Condolences to family. I celebrate death because it's the body that is gone, yet their spirits get stronger, and it is our job to keep them alive. Yes, ofrendas are real. He couldn't do that little bit of time, yet they expect black men to do years in prison for this out of sane and function of normally. Absolutely right. I don't think I read that correctly, but I understood what you were saying. Right. You are so right. Is that my Miss Stephanie? Is that Miss Stephanie behind the keys? Who's behind the keys of A to Z Talent? Is that Miss Stephanie? I love you, baby. If you guys don't remember, Miss Stephanie was the voice of the People's Academy when we were having a conversation with the People's Academy and T. Michael Thomas. Miss Stephanie was on dropping jewels. Hella knowledge. I love me some Miss Stephanie. I hope you're doing well. Sending prayers to you and your family. YouTube blocks Trump's channel for 7 days, calling it a first strike and a 3-strike policy after account posted a new video inciting violence. So on Tuesday, YouTube blocked Donald Trump from posting new material. He is banned for 7 days as a first strike under the 3 strikes policy. If a channel receives a second strike within 90 days, it will be suspended for 2 weeks. A third strike results in a permanent ban. Trump was given the first strike as punishment for the video uploaded on Tuesday. It was unclear what the video showed, but it was deemed to incite violence. Trump has already been banned from Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Bumble, and a lot of like everything. And so I really want to know what was in the video though. And it doesn't give, like, this doesn't give anything, and no one has screen recorded it. Like, I really want to know what was in the damn video. So if you have access to the video or you know what was in the video, please send it to me because I do want to listen to it. So the CDC and Pfizer are investigating the death of a very healthy Miami obstetrician 16 days after he received the vaccine and suffered a brain hemorrhage. I already told my nanny, you ain't getting it. You are not getting it. I don't care how elderly you are. You will not be on that list, and nor will your sisters. Not as long as I got something to do with it. So a Miami obstetrician, Gregory Michael, 56, died on January 3rd, 16 days after receiving the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. His wife, Heidi Neckelman, said that he was very healthy prior to receiving the shot. He succumbed to a stroke brought on by acute ITP. I have no idea how to pronounce that, so I'm not even going to try. It's a blood disorder caused by a lack of platelets. Pfizer says that it is actively investigating the case, but does not believe that there's any direct connection to the vaccine. Then why the hell are you investigating it, though? I can almost guarantee that this is going to be one of many, because, vaccine court has its own court. Like, you can't just go to, Massachusetts. You have to go to vaccine court on a federal level. And they have paid out... How much money has vaccine court paid out? Vaccine injury compensation data. Federal vaccine court quietly pays out billions. That was in 2018. This is the actual website. This one's more credible. National Vaccine Injury Compensation Data updated January 1st, 2021. Approximately 70% of all compensation awarded by the VICP comes as a result of a negotiated settlement between the parties in which HHS has not concluded based on review of the evidence that alleged vaccines cause alleged injury. So you paid out because you just wanted to shut me up, but you're not taking claim for it. You know what? I would do the Coretta Scott King. I think, what did they pay Coretta Scott King? $1? She said she didn't want no money for them admitting to killing Martin Luther King Jr. That's all they wanted. Coretta Scott, and for those who do not know, Coretta Scott went to court under the allegations that the United States government coerced and worked with and was the reason why Martin Luther King Jr. Was murdered. Now, if you Google it, Snoops will tell you that it's not entirely, like, it's false. Snoops is like, oh, it's false. That's not true. But what had happened was, which you already know, leads you down that rabbit hole. So words are important. And the words were, the United States government didn't per se kill him, but may have played a role in it. And they admitted it in court documents. And there's a court record that says, like, yeah, we're kind of responsible for it. And so even though she won the case, the estate of Martin Luther King Jr. won the case. She said that she didn't want no money. She just wanted the government to admit that they engaged in effery. And so that would be me. Like, I'm lying. I want $1 million for every day I could have not been affected by this vaccine. On top of you going to come out and admit the fact that this vaccine played this role, and you're going to give the scientific reason on how to play this role, and it's going to be made public. You ain't going to gag order me and shut me up to tell the truth. Not going to happen. So many petitions have been awarded petitions. So the petition to take it to court. Let's look at some of these numbers. Influenza. So the flu vaccine is the number one compensable concession, compensable court decision, compensable settlement, 3,000 compensable total, with 654 dismissed, a grand total of 4,400 from 2006 to 2018. And these are the ones that actually won. And so I'm looking for the numbers. I'm looking for the actual numbers of, like, people who brought court cases but didn't. Here it go. So the petitions filed per year. This is 2021. So in the last 2016, so the last 5 years, it has been over 1,200 that have been brought to case. In 2003, actually, that was a huge jump. 2,592 cases have been petitioned. In 1991, 2,718, and in 1990, 1,400. And then from like 93 to 2000, under 500. And so I'm wondering if this was during a schedule, a change in schedule. So going back, the vaccine. So at 37 years old, my mother had me when she was 17. My mother's era had a different schedule than what I had for a schedule of vaccines. And then my children have a different schedule because they've added so many different vaccines to the schedule. And so when my mother got vaccinated, she still got the thing. Like, you know how when you come from foreign and you have that thing in your right arm and it looked like a whole tattoo, but it was like the multiple vaccines. So my mom had that, like, multiple vaccines, and then she was done with vaccines for life and got the scar to prove it. And then when I came, I think if I did the research, it was like I had 13, but when Anari and Asaria were born, it was like 27 on the list. And now for Rain's schedule, mind you, Rain has never been shot with nothing but a damn pencil that he hit himself with. But other than that, he has never had any type of vaccines. But his schedule is 42. If you count the like HPV ones, but without HPV, it was 37. Going back to Tayla's 13, going back to my mom's, like 6 or 7? And so that was a whole nother rabbit hole. I apologize. Sorry, not sorry though. The Vaccine Injury Compensation Program, or the VICP, has now topped $4 billion. And that was in 2018. 6,305 injury and death claims compensated, most through negotiated settlements. In total, there was 11,263. This is of 2018 claims that were dismissed. 2,751, the greatest number of compensated claims resulting from flu shots. $4.3 billion since 1989, which was generally around the time that the schedule changed as far as like updating the schedules, changing the measles, mumps, rubella, and all this other nonsense. So if you didn't know, now you know. Just wanted to give you a little insight onto like what's really going on. This man, the Miami obstetrician, Gregory Michael, the death is also being investigated by the Florida Department of Health and Federal Centers for Disease Control, which we do not trust, because if we go back to last month where my girl was like, tell them to tell the truth. Tell them the real numbers. She was working part of Florida State and was giving out the number, like had to enter in the data for the numbers that report out to the state of the COVID's deaths, all of the COVID numbers. And she was like, they wanted me to lie and I wasn't finna lie. And so they went ahead and arrested her. Not only did she get fired, but she was arrested, and they claim that she hacked into the system in order to warn everybody else that this is what was taking place. Let me see some of these comments. Love you, girl. Thank you for having these conversations. Too many scared people to do so. Got to go, but love you. I love you too. I love you too. Hugs, Miss Stephanie. I knew it was you. And I am not running for mayor. I'm not one of the 562 people that are running for mayor. It's not. I like kicking down doors. You know, that's what Ayanna Pressley told me, actually. She was just like, there's some people that sit behind desks and push papers, and there's other people that kick down doors. You're a door kicker. It does not serve thee well to sit behind a desk. And I believe it to be very much true. Like, I'm not one to sit behind a desk and wait for, like, bureaucracy. I'm not ready for no. We've been doing the same thing over and over again with little to no results. It's time to do something extremely different and extremely grand. And I have been called extreme, on a couple occasions. But hey, it's who I am. And I truly believe it's what is necessary in this day and age. So I am Tayla Andre. Waking Up with Tayla Andre has absolutely nothing to do with the time of day we link up, but about waking up your third eye with unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness. We're going to go pay these bills. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about what's going on in the news, as well as who do you want to see? Who do you want to become the mayor? What do you want the mayor to look like? What do you want the mayor to do as far as actionable items? Your opinion matters. Let us know.
Let's start with the big question.
Who are you? The all new Spark FM.
Paid family and medical leave is here. And if you're an employee in Massachusetts, you probably have questions. How does PFML work? When can I start using my benefits? How do I apply? Is PFML really for me? There is one place to find your answer. mass.gov/PFML. It's time to get to know paid family and medical leave. A message from the Massachusetts Department of Family and Medical Leave.
Are you tired of renting and need more of your own space? Are you getting stressful letters or calls from the bank? Does your home require expensive repairs and you just don't have the funds to fix them? Regardless of whether you want to buy or sell, Tayla Andre of Thumbprint Realty is here to help. From saving your home from foreclosure to walking you through the process of becoming a first-time homeowner, Tayla makes real estate easy. With your best interests at heart, knowledge of the market, and a passion for people, Tayla is dedicated and motivated to serve you.
Good rising, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. I am Tayla Andre, and I am determined and dedicated in assisting you in all of your real estate needs. Give me a call at 617-459-0041. Again, that number is 617-459-0041. Or you can email me at TAYLAANDRE@thumbprintrealty.com.
Things may seem a little bit different now, but your health remains a priority. With the Massachusetts Health Connector, you can stay happy and healthy, whether you're employed or have recently lost